Welcome on into Second Round Syndrome, your talk for the Philadelphia 76ers and the NBA. I'm your host, DJ Sports Zone. With me, as always, is Hob Harris. How's it going, dude?
What's up, brother? Good to see you.
You too. We got a video version going. So normally we do our podcast episodes in person. We haven't yet set up the cameras, but since we're doing this virtually on Zoom, I thought it would be a great idea to do a video version of the podcast. You can check it out on YouTube, youtube.com/second round syndrome. But as always, audio version still on Spotify, Apple, all of those podcast platforms. We got to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. They won 3 games in a row, which is the first time they've actually done that since they started the season 4-0, which is insane. They won against the Washington Wizards. They beat the Golden State Warriors. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks. But that streak did end last night against the Los Angeles Lakers in the 112-108 loss. So Tyrese Maxey, as always, he's carrying the team. 28 points. That's not a shocker. Joel Embiid is kind of where I want to start this episode, because Joel Embiid is the main reason why the Sixers lost this game. Okay. Joel Embiid looks washed. Like that's the simplest way I could say it. He looks washed out there. He had 16 points, and you could say, okay, 16 points, that's not too bad. He shot 4 of 21 from the field. Let me say that one more time, just so our listeners, our viewers can hear this. 4 of 21 from the field.
It's brutal.
And on top of that, 0 of 6 from 3. So 8 of those points. He shot 8 of 8 from the free throw line. He looked so bad out there. He couldn't move. He looked like he was just doing cardio up and down the court. And then every once in a while, he would chuck up a shot. There were even plays out there that he was one-on-one with Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves, who is a foot shorter than Joel Embiid.
Yep.
And what does he decide to do? He decides to do this fadeaway.
Dirk Nowitzki style fadeaway shot. Yeah, I know the one in the fourth quarter you're talking about when they had it. Yeah, yep.
And of course, that does not work, right? This is the problem. The Sixers need help. Tyrese Maxey cannot do it all by himself.
That's something you've been saying for a couple episodes now.
Well, that's just the case with any team. You need a second, you need a third option, a consistent second and third option, right? The Oklahoma City Thunder. Yes, you have SGA, but you also have Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren. You look at the Los Angeles Lakers. You have Luka. You have LeBron. You have Austin Reeves. And even when Austin Reeves didn't play well last night, you had Rui Hachimura with 17 points. Even DeAndre Ayton had a double-double and was perfect from the field. He didn't miss a shot, right? What do the Sixers have in comparison to that? I mean, VJ Edgecombe, he had 15 points, right? Paul George, he didn't play particularly well. He only had 12 points. He shot 3 of 8 from the field. That's the problem with the Sixers. They don't have help. And the Sixers are not going to make the playoffs at this rate if these are the performances we continue to get from Joel Embiid, right? Paul George is having a better season than Joel Embiid. Heck, let me take it a step further. Anyone who touched the floor last night, anybody who touched the floor last night had a better performance than Joel Embiid. He got outplayed by LeBron James, LeBron James, granted, he's one of the best players in the history of the NBA, right? But he turns 41 years old at the end of the month.
Yeah, come on.
41 years old, and he had 29 points. He was cooking the Sixers and was talking smack to the fans. He had every right to do that, by the way.
Oh, yeah, he earned it the way he played last night.
29 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Oh, my goodness. Right? And then on top of that, Luka Doncic, by the way, who just came back from having another child.
Yeah, he just flew from overseas. He literally came overseas last night, or the night before, excuse me.
And you got to be like, okay, Luka's coming back. He's got to be warming back. No. 31-point triple-double. 31-point triple. 31 points, 15 rebounds, 11 assists, and even 2 blocks. And Luka does not play defense.
At all. Yeah, you could say that again.
So, how do you let this happen if you're Nick Nurse and the Sixers? It's just insane to me. And we've seen the same problems from the Sixers the whole season, right? We've talked a ton about the injuries. We've talked a ton about Maxey's minutes. We've talked a ton about the third quarter, and it's the same story in the third quarter. Once again, in the third quarter, they blew that. I mean, what did they have? How much did they score in the third quarter? 24 points.
Yeah, they had a 8-point lead at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that just can't happen, right? And I don't know if it's because Maxey's tired, but he needs help. Like, what do you think that needs to happen here, Hav?
I'm caught right in the middle because you're bringing up guys like Paul George and Joel Embiid, and we've made a fuss about them not playing and them being questionable all the time and day to day. And now I'm wondering, do I even want them out there if they're going to look like this? But I don't know what the solution is. They've sat so much already, and they're going to continue to sit, whether it's back to backs or whether it's 3 and 4, wherever it may be. But like you said, Embiid just looks like a shell of himself. So we're kind of in a tough spot where, yes, we want them out there because we hate the headache of not knowing who's in the lineup every night. But then once we get them out there, it's Maxey doing his thing consistently. But then what are the other guys doing? So I don't know, man. We're in a tough spot.
I mentioned in the last episode, the Sixers need consistency. But if this is the consistency we're going to be getting from 2 out of your 3 max players, and I've mentioned this 1,000 times, Joel Embiid's 3-year, 193 contract extension, like that doesn't kick until next year. Paul George, he has 2 years left on his 4-year, $212 million contract. If that's what you're going to get consistently, I just don't know how anybody sees the Sixers going far this season. Can they still make the play-in? Sure, right? Could they even sneak their way into the playoffs? Sure. The East is wide open. I mean, we were talking high about the Chicago Bulls, and now they look like the worst team in the entire NBA.
Like they're going to be selling off, yeah.
Right? The Toronto Raptors, they're kind of falling off a little bit. The only real threats in the East right now are probably the Pistons and the Knicks. That's kind of it. I mean, the Magic, I mean, they just got Paolo Banchero back, but now Franz Wagner's out for the next couple weeks.
Now his ankle sprain, exactly.
So are they going to be a formidable threat? The Cleveland Cavaliers, they constantly deal with injuries. I mean,
all year, yeah. They came into the season with injury, question marks.
Right. And a lot of it's been the role players, right? I mean, it's been Sam Merrill, it's been Max Strus, and then Darius Garland's been a big one who's been in and out of the lineup the entire year, right? Jared Allen's has missed time. Donovan Mitchell's had injury issues in the past. So the Sixers, this is their best opportunity to do anything, right? But they need to figure it out. Now, granted, the one nice thing about the NBA Cup for the Sixers, at least, not as much for the fans, but the Sixers get basically the whole week off. They don't play again until Friday, right? Because of the NBA Cup, they basically play 2 games at the end of this week and the end of next week.
Yeah, it's a very funky schedule for December.
I am wondering, Hav, with the rest they have. Now, granted, Joel Embiid has had pretty much the entire season to rest up. He's had all of last season to rest up as well. Do you think that the extra rest that the Sixers are going to get because they're not going further in the NBA Cup, do you think that's going to help Embiid? Do you think that's going to help the Sixers win games? What do you think?
Well, the pessimist in me wants to say that even though he played, they played yesterday, they played Sunday, and they're going to have 5 days off until Friday to play again. We're still going to wake up Friday morning and wonder, are they in the lineup? Are they questionable? What's the injury this week? Even with 5 days off, and that's what's so frustrating. So in theory, you would think, yeah, a team that's been battling injuries all year, they finally get like a little mini all-star break almost. They only have 3 or 4 games in a 2-week span. So this is the perfect time to kind of recoup, lick your wounds, and get back to a full strength. But has this team ever shown the ability to do that in the past? No. And that's what kind of makes me think that maybe it's not going to make that much of a difference. And we're going to go into next month with the same questions and the same concerns. And it's a little disheartening. And
this is the part that even scares me more so with the Sixers is they don't even have to play NBA games to get injured. I mean, Paul George got injured during a workout in the offseason.
Yeah.
Right.
McCain, right. Yeah.
So like, it's one of those things of, okay, it might be nice to get a break here. Maybe they get some practice time because I don't even know Joel Embiid's practiced with this team this season.
No, we've heard about Paul George practicing a bunch and not playing, but that may be the opposite with Embiid.
And Paul George doesn't concern me as much. Paul George is having a better year than Embiid, but PG is somebody who can just enter in the lineup and do his thing. He's been playing great defense this season, right? He's playing the elite defense that Paul George is known for. Offensively, he's had great games. Obviously, last night was not good for him. But I think he could just kind of slot in and do whatever you need Paul George to do.
especially with
Embiid,
him not being the focal point of the team. Paul George, I'm referring to,
and that's the difference with Joel Embiid. The whether we want to say Maxey is the best player or not, which in my opinion, right now he is the best player on the team easily. He's an MVP candidate. Will he win it this year? Probably not, but he's going to be in that conversation if he keeps playing at the level he's playing.
for sure.
But let's face it, the Sixers run through Joel Embiid on both ends of the floor, right? He's just that dominant and he's that important that you can't just say, all right, Embiid, just post up and play an Andre Drummond role. That's not who Joel Embiid is. He's not going to adapt to that. It's just not going to happen. That's not possible.
No, but to a point you're bringing up, it's funny because I was thinking it as I was watching the end of that fourth quarter last night. Why are we still running those plays through Embiid to get the last shot, the 3-pointer up at the top, and him down low with that fadeaway on Reeves? Like, why is Maxey? And when Maxey finally gets the ball in that ruckus, you saw him in that he throws that crazy 3-pointer up and it goes in. So right. Like, why are we not working through Maxey in those late game situations?
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem with Nick Nurse. He just does not know how to read the room at this point. And that's why I'm at the point where I just don't think Nick Nurse is a good coach anymore. When we first hired Nick Nurse, I thought it was a great signing, just seeing what he did for his young core in Toronto. I mean, he turned players like Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet into, I don't want to say household names, but
they're all-star level guys.
They're all-star level players. And, Fred VanVleet played an important role with Houston before he got injured. Siakam is
clearly huge impact on Indiana.
Yeah. Once Siakam got to the team, I mean, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, then they went to the finals the following year, and they could have beat Oklahoma City if Halliburton didn't get injured, right? Mm-hmm. It's just so tough. And when the Sixers return, I mean, they're not playing easy opponents. I mean, on that Friday where they return on December 12th, they play the Pacers. That's an easy game, right? They're at this point they're trying to lose games. It seems to me. They haven't figured it out like Boston had. Like Boston shocked me of how good they've been playing.
5 in a row, yeah.
I thought
right back in the thick of it.
I thought they were just going to tank, but Jaylen Brown's been phenomenal. And then they play Atlanta, which Atlanta's been just phenomenal. Jalen Johnson and Nikhil
Alexander-Walker. We just saw him last week, in that double overtime game.
Right, and again, that was with Paul George and Joel Embiid in the lineup.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right, and then even the following week, they faced the Knicks, who the Sixers always struggle against, and they have
Garden.
A great lineup. I mean, and OG Anunoby just came back from injury. And then they faced the Dallas Mavericks, who are not a good team right now. But that's why they need to figure this out now. I mean, they're 7th in the Eastern Conference, and the East is wide open, right? I mean, the next couple of teams around them, they're only, 1, 2, 3 games apart. So just like the Sixers did, they went on a 3-game win streak. They do that again. Another team like the Chicago Bulls just did goes on a losing streak. It's very possible for the Sixers. Like, they need to at least make it past the play-in. Like, they need to get that 6th seed for Sixers fans to get excited for NBA basketball, for playoff basketball. Without that, I just don't know if the Sixers are going to be an actual threat in the Eastern Conference. Just seeing how Joel Embiid is playing, just seeing Paul George's inconsistency in terms of him being on the floor. McCain's been a lot better. That's been cool. Maxey, again, is that going to stay consistent throughout the entire year? I hope so. Right? Is VJ Edgecombe going to kind of return back to the form where he was at the beginning of the season? Again, I hope so. He's had decent games. Quentin Grimes, I don't know. They didn't even and this is one of the things that bothered me about Nick Nurse last night. He saw, just like you said, Joel Embiid did not play well. He kept running plays for Embiid. Why? Adem Bona didn't play a single minute
at all.
Why?
Your guess is as good as mine, my friend.
Like, clearly, if you're watching the game, which I hope Nick Nurse is, he's right there.
You would think, right? Best seat in the house.
If things aren't working as a coach, you have to make a change, right? Even if the change doesn't work, at least you tried something, right? I mean, what did it have to take for Embiid going 4 for 1,000 for you to finally decide to change things up? Right? I mean, you put it on Andre Drummond. Drummond's actually been pretty solid this season. I'll give him credit.
Oh,
right?
100%.
Despite whatever he did in Orlando the other week. But Adem Bona has also been pretty solid this season as well. And you don't need Bona to play, the entire game.
At all.
But if Embiid's struggling, put Bona in there for 5 minutes. See what happens.
just for a little spark, a little bit of energy, a little bit of boards, some defense.
And that might refresh Embiid as well, because and this is the thing people get wrong about Embiid all the time. He wants to be out there. I want this to be very clear. He wants to play basketball. He's not phoning it in out there. Mm-mm. He wants to play basketball, and he gets so hyped. Like that game against the Golden State Warriors, for example, they were so bad in the second half. I mean, the Golden State Warriors didn't have Steph Curry. They didn't have Jimmy Butler. Draymond Green left the game early, right? Brandon Pajemski was awful. Steve Kerr doesn't even like playing Jonathan Kuminga.
No, they have their own beef.
Right? I mean, who was their best player that night? It's one of those things of how do you blow that game? But then they make a comeback. Maxey misses the game winner. VJ tips it in, which was just mind blowing. I was screaming my head off.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, D'Anthony Melton could have won the game before Golden State, and Maxey comes in with that huge block. And Embiid is one of the first people out there to get up, celebrate, hugging VJ, hugging Maxey. I mean, he is hyped every time they win games. He wants to win games. He wants to be competitive. And as fans, as a huge Joel Embiid fan myself, I want to see Embiid win a ring. It is my ultimate dream to one day see Embiid's name, his number in the rafters. Because skill-wise, he's one of the best players to ever be on the Sixers.
Hands down.
Right? And we've had some phenomenal players, whether you're talking about Wilt, Dr. J, Moses Malone, AI, Barkley. We've had so many greats. Embiid should be one of them. Right? He's been an MVP. He's been an MVP candidate multiple times. He's been an all-star many times. I mean, he's been a scoring leader. There's no reason why Embiid shouldn't be one of the greats. But because of his lack of availability, that's the issue. And now that he is playing some games and he's playing just so bad, I feel like he's playing worse than what he did last year.
Yeah.
And he only played 19 games at the most last year?
It was so sporadic. Exactly.
And he probably only had 2 good games. I mean, obviously you can't forget the Boston game on Christmas. And then, he had one other good game. I think it was against the Bulls on a Sunday. Which I'm sure half of the people weren't paying attention to that game because I believe the Eagles were going on at the same time.
That makes sense.
But this season, it's just not looking good. And hopefully they could fix it. Hopefully the extended rest they have. This is the one good thing about the NBA Cup. I hate the NBA Cup. I think it's pointless. I think it's stupid.
Yeah, it's whack.
I understand why Adam Silver wanted, again, unlike what Nick Nurse does, Adam Silver's trying something. And I can appreciate that. Right? Because, the big saying is, oh, the NBA doesn't start around Christmas time. We had the MLB playoffs, football season. Who cares about the NBA until Christmas? I understand the thought process, but it doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I know people say that about the play-in, but at least the play-in's fun and it does actually mean something and it has
contributes to the actual playoffs. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you look at the Miami Heat who went to the finals being a play-in team. Right. I mean, the Lakers were a playing team one year and they made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals. Right. When that team looked hopeless in the beginning of the season when they had Russell Westbrook. So the play-in, I don't think is pointless. I think it's a lot of fun. Maybe it would be more straightforward if it was, okay, 1 through 8 seed playoffs, bam. But hey, it adds some extra entertainment.
You get 2 more games. Yeah, exactly.
The cup, and we'll probably talk a little bit about it, especially as we get closer to the finals. But other than that, hopefully the rest is the most valuable part of it. That's Absolutely. Why I think it's more beneficial for teams to not make it far in the NBA Cup because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And even one of my biggest problems with the NBA Cup is the finals, because that game actually doesn't count towards regular season games.
Yeah, it's like an exhibition game. Yeah.
Every other game in the NBA Cup, even like the semifinals, those do count.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one thing that I find really bizarre about the NBA Cup. But, it is what it is. Hopefully the Sixers can get something out of that. Hopefully they can actually practice together. And when we see them again against the Indiana Pacers, hopefully we see some progress. Hopefully Embiid starts to get back to that. I don't even want to say MVP level form. I want to at least say all-star level form. Let's not go crazy.
That'd be nice.
All right. We need to see something on both ends of the floor, both on offense and on defense. Because let's be fair. Defensively, Embiid has been a disaster as well. right? And I don't know what the issue is. I'm sure they do. And if they don't, they need to figure this out because this is getting ridiculous at this point. Speaking of ridiculous, I want to move into a different subject here. One of the worst things that I've seen in the NBA happen in the past week, and it has to do with the LA Clippers.
I know where you're going.
So if you've been living under a rock the last week or so, Chris Paul, who is arguably one of the greatest point guards to ever play the game, right? Maybe you say it's Magic, it's Stockton, but Chris Paul is in that conversation easily.
Yeah, he's an all-timer, regardless.
Right? Top 75. He's been an all-star, right? He's in the 75th anniversary team. I mean, clearly he's highly respected.
Mm-hmm.
The Clippers knew that this was going to be his last season. He talked about it even in the offseason, even if it wasn't confirmed. Right? The whole point of why he went back to the Clippers is because that was the franchise that meant the most to him. Right? That was the franchise that really boosted his career. Obviously, I know he was with the New Orleans Hornets beforehand.
Yeah, but it's tough to make a real lasting image with the Hornets as opposed to being in a major market like LA. Even though it's the Clippers, not the Lakers, and Stern messed that all up, whatever. But you get the point. He's still in LA, and it's a bigger market.
Well, I was even going to say, even like the Clippers, even I feel like still today, but they're the joke of they're always set as LA's B team, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Lob City, right? When you had Chris Paul, when you had Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, JJ Redick, that crew,
yeah, they were legit.
They made it fun to watch Clippers basketball. Chris Paul should have his number retired by the Clippers. They have never retired a number before. He should be their first.
I like that.
But what they decided to do by waiving him, or sending him home, because they can't waive him yet, technically, because I think they have around 14 players in the roster. The way the CBA works, you can't waive him yet. I believe in a couple weeks, you can either work out a trade or you can buy him out. I think it's in January. So for right now, he has to just kind of sit around. But that's not even the worst part. They were in a hotel in Atlanta. At 3 a.m., this announcement came out. And then Chris Paul puts out an Instagram post about this.
Yeah, he has to report it himself.
3 a.m. And I saw discussions of, we've been thinking about this for a while. If you've been thinking about this for a bit, right? And just knowing who Chris Paul is and having respect for our legends in the game, I would have either never sent him on that road trip and just did that before he even left, or waited until they came back. This is not just some random 15th man. Like, this didn't happen to, and no disrespect to any player in the Sixers, but this didn't happen to like Adem Bona. This didn't happen to Janai Broom.
No,
right?
This guy has a resume. This guy has legacy.
He's one of the most known names in the NBA. Like, you have LeBron, you have KD, you have Steph, you have Chris Paul, you have CP3. How do you do that to a player of that stature? And the reports of he wasn't getting along with the coach, the players weren't getting along with him. They didn't like that he was expressing his frustration towards them losing.
That's what I heard. Yep.
I don't know what, like, when I said, like, the viewing audience, if they've been living under a rock, like, have the Clippers been living under a rock? That's who Chris Paul is, right? And yes, he's never won a championship in his career, but the dude wants to win. Every organization he's been to, I mean, most of them have been to the playoffs, right? He pushes them as far as they can go, right? He turned the Clippers into a playoff team, right? He went to the Houston Rockets and they could have beat the Golden State Warriors.
They had every chance in the world,
right? The Phoenix Suns, which were a joke years before, they went to the NBA Finals.
Yep, he was still a useful part of that team. Exactly.
Even before that, when he got traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder, nobody thought they were making the playoffs, right? And they made the playoffs. And I've said this before, I think Chris Paul is a huge reason as to why Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the player who he is today. He was a mentor to him, right? Maybe later towards his career, like Golden State, okay, fine, that was a weird situation anyways. But even you look last year, he played 82 games with the San Antonio Spurs, and he was a great mentor to Victor Wembanyama.
Another young star, exactly.
especially with all, unfortunately, all the health issues that were happening to Greg Popovich. Like, Chris, you needed Chris Paul in that moment, right? You needed a leader to step in while all of that was happening, right? So for the Clippers, especially knowing who Chris Paul is, he played for your organization, right? Like, Lawrence Frank has made the most bizarre decisions as the president of basketball operations for the Los Angeles Clippers. I mean, we look at that trade for Paul George, right? You let Kawhi Leonard blackmail you into signing him, right? He could have went to the Lakers. He could have stayed in Toronto. You let him blackmail you by trading Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who you could have said, Kawhi, you're going to play with Shai. But he didn't want Shai.
He wanted something that was ready-made.
So not only did you trade Shai, right? You traded a decent role player in Danilo Gallinari, who actually recently retired too, which is, good for him.
Yeah, shout out to Danilo. Yeah, exactly.
And you traded 5 first-round picks, right? 5 first-round picks. One of them, by the way, turned into Jalen Williams.
Not bad.
Right? And one of those picks they're going to get this year. So the fact that you did all that, the fact that even after all that, you let Paul George walk for nothing, right? The fact that this organization disrespected Blake Griffin years ago, right? They signed Blake. They begged Blake Griffin to stay. They put him on t-shirts with like Gandhi and Obama, and
then they shipped him to Detroit.
right away. Like 6 months later, goes to Detroit.
There you go. Business is business, brother. Welcome to the NBA.
And obviously there's that famous clip of him running past Steve Ballmer, and, Ballmer wanted a high five. Blake ignored it. Like,
yeah.
And he had every right to do that.
I don't blame him at all. Yeah, exactly.
I don't blame him either. All of that, and you trade me. Same thing with Chris Paul. This was his last season, right? Even if you had a conversation with him and said, Chris, right? And I'm not going to, I'm going to be fair. Chris Paul was not playing well this season, right? I'll be honest, but there's still a more respectful way of doing this. You could have sat him down and said, hey, Chris, we're trying to win games right now. It's not working with you in the lineup, right? And just talk to him about possibly like getting DMPs, or just being, I mean,
Kyle Lowry type.
I know saying mentor is weird when all the players in this roster are already like 35 years old, but just being that voice might make a difference, right? And Chris Paul, I'm sure he thought the Clippers would be a playoff team this year, but at the same time, I don't know if anyone expected the Clippers to win a championship. Going to the season, I actually had higher expectations for the Clippers. I liked a lot of the moves they made. I didn't think they were going to be a threat to the Thunder.
No, right? You thought they were going to be better than this, maybe a top 4 seed and competing in the West.
Right. Just like they were last year. I thought they'd be, if anything, exactly the same as last year. Like even some of the highlights, like Zubac has not had a good year. Right.
Yeah, a lot of their guys are progressing.
Right. I mean, they let Norman, like, and this is another thing that Lawrence Frank did. You let Norman Powell, Stormin' Norman, go to the Miami Heat. Do you see what he's doing over there?
He's balling out.
Right. And the question was, okay, what are the Heat going to do letting go of Jimmy Butler? Who's going to be that next player? I didn't think the Wiggins trade at the time made any sense.
That was all salary related.
Right. Norman Powell's that guy. And you trade him for John Collins, who's okay, right? But just okay.
Very okay.
Right. I mean, that's not what Norman Powell's doing. Bradley Beal played 6 games, was awful in those 6 games, by the way, and is out for the rest of the season. And then you make room for Chris Paul so he could have one final run, so he could be close to his family. Right. I just don't understand how the organization, whether you're talking about Steve Ballmer, whether you're talking about Lawrence Frank, whether you're talking about Ty Lue, which Ty Lue I have a ton of respect for. I think Ty Lue is arguably one of the best coaches in the NBA.
Oh, you've given him props before. Absolutely.
Right. I mean, and I don't know who this falls on. If it falls on one of those 3, all 3 of them, a combo, like I don't know.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, how much of a malcontent must have Chris Paul been for them to just say, dude, we don't even want you around practices. We don't want you in the building. Like, they took his key card. He must have been going around like, guys, you guys don't want to play like this. You guys don't want to be a part of this organization. Like, I don't know what, again, you're going to hear sides from all different angles, but you don't know what the truth is. But that's the only thing I could think of, that maybe he was just being like so stubborn or negative, and they just didn't. But they're kind of just floating in the water without an oar right now. So I don't know. To take a player like Chris Paul with the history, not only the history he has, but the history there, and then just to say, go home. It blows my mind.
it would have been a different feel if it was a different organization. Like I don't think San Antonio would ever, I don't think any organization would ever do this. But like, let's just say he stayed in San Antonio, the Spurs wouldn't even do that.
No, they'll DMP him, like you said, and kind of just let him go out a little quieter and on his own terms.
I mean, the Spurs gave him like this gift, and it had every player who he's assisted in his career. I mean, they were treating him like he's been there for the longest time. That was his only year there. Right.
What to say about the organizations then? You know what I mean? Like how poorly run the Clippers are, like you're saying, versus
right.
these other teams that at least can acknowledge what he's done for the league.
Well, San Antonio, compared to San Antonio, they're a world-class organization.
Oh, they're class. Oh, class is the perfect word for them. Exactly.
Right. I mean, even when they were losing the last several years, I mean, they were still, Greg Popovich, again, was one of the best coaches in the NBA, right? Their organization has always been run at the highest class.
Great reputation all around. Absolutely.
So, the Clippers have just never had that. Like, and they're a team that's never won a championship. So what do you rely on? You rely on your stars, right? You rely
especially when you share a building with the Lakers, like who have the star power and the winning. So it's tough.
So like, and you have generational talent like Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, and this is how you treat them. Right. And that's what I don't understand. Hopefully Chris Paul, if he decide, it looks like he still wants to play, which is awesome. Hopefully they could find him a situation that he wants to be at. Hopefully they can at least give him the respect for him to choose where he wants to go. In my opinion, and I haven't said this yet. I haven't even talked about this on the DJ Sports Zone channel, which, by the way, if you like NBA game reactions, NFL game reactions, we're recording this on Monday. So tonight I will be recording a reaction to the Eagles game against the Los Angeles Chargers. Make sure to check that out. I have not talked about this yet, but I think, my opinion, one of the most ironic, and I think one of the best destinations for Chris Paul might actually be the Lakers.
Wow. Talk to me. Let me hear it.
Right. And here's a couple points as to why. First of all, he would still be in LA. He would still be close to his family. That's number one. Okay. Mm-hmm. Number two is LeBron is one of his best friends. And there have been talks for years and years of LeBron and Chris Paul maybe playing together one day.
The Banana Boat Boys, right?
Right. So that would be number two. Number three is obviously one of the most like famous things that's happened in NBA history was the veto of the trade to send Chris Paul to the Lakers. Right. Back when he played for New Orleans, there was the trade to send Chris Paul to play with Kobe Bryant in LA, and Pau Gasol was in that deal. And David Stern at the time vetoed that trade because at the time there was no ownership group for the Hornets. And David Stern vetoed that trade.
Yeah, I remember it blew up.
How ironic would it be after all these years?
It would be so fitting.
And the funny thing is, because he didn't end up going to the Lakers, he ended up going to the Clippers.
Which is right. Yeah. And now we're just reversing it.
That's why I think this would be hilarious, but also like amazing at the same time.
Yeah, it would be such sports. It'd be such sports.
It's like the perfect storyline of he doesn't get to move far. He gets to, play in Crypto.com Arena, right? Obviously different stadium for once.
He's just changing locker rooms. That's all he has to do.
Right. Now going from the Intuit Dome to the Crypto.com Arena, and he gets to play with LeBron James. He gets to play with Luka, which I think would be fun, especially like after like Luka crushed the Suns years back. I just think it would be a fun mix. Plus, he's had history with DeAndre Ayton.
True. Yeah, true.
So I think it would be, a great fit. And again, Chris Paul doesn't have to play much. And I think their depth at point guard isn't the best. The Lakers, like Gabe Vincent, since he's left Miami, he hasn't been great. Marcus Smart has been dealing with injuries as he's been the last couple of years.
No, you need somebody you can trust as the ball handler to run that offense when Luka's off the floor.
I think Chris Paul could step in and do that, especially while Marcus Smart is down. And when Marcus Smart comes back in, maybe they could take turns, whatever the case might be. JJ Redick is a very smart head coach. I think he could figure it out. Also, JJ, another fun point, played with Chris Paul.
There you go. So he'd be playing with an old teammate. How ironic would that, or be playing for an old teammate. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Which isn't the first time. I mean, JJ played with Luka.
Yep, there you go.
At the tail end of his career. So putting all this stuff together, and maybe that's a hot take, just as a basketball fan, and even just a great fit. I just think that would make the most sense. I just highly doubt, being it's his last season in the NBA, I just highly doubt he's going to want to go anywhere else other than somewhere near home, right? I mean, he could go to Golden State. It would make sense. They're the Golden State Warriors, right? I mean, he would fit
literally.
right in with the age group. I mean, if that was the move, would I hate it? No. But would it make a lot of sense in terms of basketball? Probably not.
Mm-mm.
And then obviously the other California team would be the Sacramento Kings. They're having
their own dumpster fire. Yeah.
I wouldn't even touch that. I don't know why Chris Paul, other than it's kind of close to home.
Just because the West Coast factor. But even then, yeah.
So the Lakers, that's my top pick. I hope, like it. Wherever Chris Paul wants to go, it's obviously his decision. He's never played in the Eastern Conference, so I think it would be kind of bizarre if he did that now.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when he played
because New Orleans before they were, that's true. Yeah, they were in the West. That's right.
Right, and that became the Pelicans. Like the Hornets became an expansion team.
They had to get revived. Exactly, that was totally separate. They had
so he's never played it. He's never played in the East.
Fantastic point.
So I don't think that's going to happen. Right, I know there will be teams that are tapping their fingers, twiddling their fingers, saying, "Oh, maybe he comes to the Knicks." I saw stuff about the Sixers. Doesn't make sense. I'm not even going to touch that. Sixers already have Kyle Lowry. We don't need any more old.
Yeah, we already have Coach cards. Kyle. We don't need any more.
No, and again, I have a ton of respect for Chris Paul, but that just doesn't make any sense. Also, you wouldn't be able to take 3 because it's retired with Allen Iverson. Wouldn't make sense. I just think it's the perfect fit. Plus, 3 is not retired with the Lakers, so it makes sense.
It's just all lining up, man. We got to just start buying our Chris Paul Lakers jersey right now.
I'm pitching that right now. I just feel bad for Chris Paul because now he just has to sit and wait to see what happens. Speaking of waiting to see what happens, we also got to talk about Giannis. But before we do that, please make sure to check out all of our socials. DJ Sports Zone. Where can they check you out as well?
Instagram and YouTube at Hav Harris here.
Yeah, check us out. We put up clips on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. All the clips go up on socials. But with Giannis, we got to talk about Giannis.
Very interesting.
Now, Giannis Antetokounmpo is still one of the greatest players in the NBA. He's been nothing but loyal to the Milwaukee Bucks. And if you don't know, Shams put out a report that Giannis and his agent are having talks with the Bucks to see where he's going to end up next, whether that is him staying in Milwaukee, which I don't understand that anymore, or if that's him moving on, right? And Doc Rivers did talk about that. He dismissed those rumors right away. Now, with Giannis, okay, he's also out for the next 2 to 4 weeks with injury. The Bucks continue to lose games without Giannis. They're just not good enough. I mean, their best players, Kyle Kuzma, Ryan Rollins, Miles Turner.
It's not looking likely.
Bobby Portis, like they just don't have a good enough roster, even with Giannis, right? I thought it was ridiculous them replacing Damian Lillard with Miles Turner. It made absolutely no sense. Now, if you wanted to say to me, okay, well, they essentially replaced Brook Lopez with Miles Turner, that's fair. That's a good upgrade. But the fact that you replaced Dame with basically nobody, I mean, your point guards are Kevin Porter Jr., who's having, he just came back from injury. He's had a solid couple of games. Cole Anthony, who's a decent player, but who's that second option? Kyle Kuzma is not a good player.
No, he's a mutt.
I don't understand how he's still in the NBA. I mean, he was hyped up, I guess, because he played on the Wizards the last couple of years. But I mean,
I guess, yeah.
Who doesn't put up big numbers on the Wizards on given nights?
Absolutely.
So now the question is, should Giannis stay or should Giannis go? I think even Bucks fans would agree that Giannis should leave.
It's time.
Because they're not going to do anything with Giannis still on that team. If anything, they're just going to stay where they are. And
or regress and get worse and then make it worse for everybody.
Or regress and get worse. And that's just not fair to Giannis, who, as I mentioned, is one of the best players in the world.
Still, yeah.
Still. And I get he wants to be loyal. And, sometimes loyalty triumphs everything. I mean, clearly with Damian Lillard, he finally decided to leave Portland. It didn't work. Now he's back. Obviously, he's not playing this season, but it will be very exciting for Blazers fans next season to see Damian Lillard back in a Portland Trailblazers jersey, right? That move clearly didn't work. But Dame at his age is not considered one of the best players in the league. And he's not even on the same level as Giannis. Even though he
ever was.
Even though I have a lot of respect for Dame, I mean, again, his jersey will obviously be retired with Portland. He'll be a Hall of Famer one day. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But Giannis deserves to be on a contender. And he's won a championship. That's the thing that's different about this situation.
Absolutely.
With Dame, he never won with Portland. I mean, they went to a conference finals, which was cool, right? I mean, Dame had that iconic shot over Paul George, and Paul George goes, "That's a bad shot," that stuff.
Yep.
But Giannis at least won a championship. He did what a lot of players dream of doing with their original team, right? They had a great roster. Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Cash Money Middleton, Lopez, right? That whole roster was great.
Loaded. Yep. Bobby Portis. Yep. The whole team.
But unfortunately, the front office, I mean, I'll give them credit. They've done a lot to try to keep Giannis around. I don't know if it was the smartest move trading Drew Holiday for Damian Lillard. I mean, you basically traded defense, for offense, and it just didn't work. The two-man game between Dame and Giannis, it just wasn't. It didn't fit. It wasn't what they wanted it to be. They let a lot of key role players go. I thought PJ Tucker at the time was a great signing. I think he's a huge reason why they won the championship that year. And then the next season, they ended up letting him walk. And then he went to Miami and he went to the conference finals with them. But with Giannis, I think he just has to move on at this point. And I think Bucks fans would understand, because Giannis has been nothing but loyal. He won a championship for them. It's like what LeBron did for Cleveland. He came back, he won a championship, and then he moved on and he wanted to go to LA.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I feel like Cavs fans, especially the second time, obviously the first time when he left, people were burning jerseys and, that I understand. Right. Same thing as like what KD did with Oklahoma City. I mean, when you leave in that way, it has a certain feeling to those fans. This is different.
Yeah, because they had that payoff of the championship. Exactly. They're not left wanting and wondering what if.
And now it's just like a show that runs on for like too many seasons.
Yes, first 4 seasons were solid, and then after it gets to season 5 and 6, you're like, they probably should have stopped after 4. It would have been okay.
And I know like TV shows use like the phrase like jumping the shark, right? Mm-hmm. It feels like the Bucks have jumped the shark.
Absolutely, I like that.
And now Giannis, now the question is going to be, where does Giannis go?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the New York Knicks in the offseason, they were clearly interested in Giannis. Giannis had a lot of interest in going to the Knicks. Do the Bucks want to trade within the Eastern Conference?
That's the decision they have to make. Exactly.
I personally don't know.
Want to see him every year in the playoffs?
But the question is for the Knicks side of it. I want to ask you about the Knicks side and what your opinion is on this.
Mm-hmm.
You would have to trade a lot of assets. You would have to trade a lot of assets to make the trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Right. You might need to trade players. Now, Stephen A. Smith has been very vocal about this. Obviously, he's a New York Knicks fan. He's been very vocal about this on First Take. He said things like, I would literally trade everybody except for Brunson. Let's go off of that as somebody who is a New York Knicks fan. Would you trade? Obviously, we're not Knicks fans, but like, would you trade players like Karl-Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges? Like those are the 3 players that are making the most money on the team. Would you trade those players for Giannis? Now, granted, they finally made the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in like 20 years,
mm-hmm.
Right?
Finally found something that works.
And their one big move was basically the coaching change. They fired Tom Thibodeau, which I didn't think was the right move at the time. They hired Mike Brown, and I think their bench depth has improved a little bit, right? Getting Jordan Clarkson, Yabu Sele. They brought back Shaman. I know he's out with injury now. But I think they did a better job with their bench depth. Do you think it would make sense for the Knicks, who I know we both have a big disliking for them as Sixers fans?
Just a tad.
Right? But even putting that aside, do you think that makes sense?
I wouldn't go as far as Stephen A. Smith goes. I don't think I would just like sell 4 or 5 first-round picks and a bunch of players for him. But just the thought of pairing Giannis with Jalen Brunson, that sounds so dangerous, especially with the East being as wide open as it is. If their main competition right now is, you're telling me, Detroit and Cleveland, you might have to make something like that, a seismic move, just to kind of put yourself above that tier and kind of separate yourself as, we're the team to beat in the East. They were in the finals, the Eastern Conference Finals, last year, like you mentioned. They lost to Indiana, but they still showed a lot of fight, different coach, different system, but they're starting to play a little bit better ball than they were back in, the beginning of the season. But man, if you're telling me it takes Cat, a spare piece, another 2 or 3 picks. I may do it. I don't know. What are you thinking?
The issue I have is the Knicks decided to trade 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges.
That's true.
I mean, how many picks do
How
they
many
have
do they
left?
have left? Yeah.
Are they willing to give the rest of them up for Giannis?
Completely forgot about the Bridges trade and how they used a lot of assets for that right there. Yeah. So what do they even have?
Yeah. And that's a big problem. Like, I don't know if I would have traded that. I mean, you let the Nets con you.
Mm-hmm.
You let the Brooklyn Nets con you for Mikal Bridges, who's what, your third, maybe even fourth best player on the team.
Yeah,
And
good, not great.
And I have a lot of respect for Bridges. I mean, he's the Iron Man in the league. He's never missed a game since, being in the NBA. I don't even think he missed a game playing for Villanova.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish he played for the Sixers. I mean, we drafted him and the front office made
Zaire.
a dumb decision to trade him on draft night, even though his mother worked for the organization, for a guy who never really played in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. I'm still upset about it. It's okay.
Yeah, we're not bitter.
I'm not bitter. Especially seeing that, he went to the finals and the Suns and what he's done on the Knicks. Yeah. Anyways, now if the Knicks decide to trade a player, I think the only player I'd be fine trading is Cat for Giannis, because at least you have Mitchell Robinson, who I think could fit, fairly well with Giannis. They're both great defensively. They both can rebound.
But then you wonder, Cat and Turner, would they fit together?
Well,
in Milwaukee.
Oh, in Milwaukee, at least Turner can shoot threes. I mean, he can kind of do what Brook Lopez did offensively. Now, that's why they work together. I mean, but the difference is Miles Turner posts up a lot better. Like Brook Lopez earlier in his career, that's all he did. He didn't shoot threes.
Oh, with Brooklyn, yeah. He completely flipped his game when he went to Milwaukee. Exactly.
I mean, I think Turner has a nice mix of both. I mean, although Turner is not a good rebounder at all. I mean, that's one of the biggest problems with, the Bucks right now, bringing in Miles Turner, is he doesn't rebound the ball very well.
Mm-hmm.
He's been made fun of that a lot on different broadcasts of, he only has one rebound, whatever the case might be. But Mitchell Robinson, rebounding has never been an issue for him. You also have, Huck Porty off the bench. So it's not like you're going to be missing center depth. I mean, that's the reason why they let go of like Precious Achiuwa, for example, because you had Huck Porty, you had Robinson, and then Cat. So I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. Obviously, they're going to want a couple first round picks. Do they have that? That's going to be the question. I wouldn't trade players like OG or Bridges because I think they just add so much. I mean, those are 3-and-D wings that most teams could like dream of having.
You have 2 of them.
Right. They both can shoot the 3. They both play defense very well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that defensive lineup, just put Brunson to the side really quickly. Just having Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Giannis, and even Mitchell Robinson in the same lineup defensively. Like, I don't know how you shoot against that team.
Literally.
The steals, blocks, they're all waiting to happen. Right. Brunson in that lineup would be the worst player defensively. I don't think he's a bad defender.
And he's not even, he's just okay.
So I said, put him to the side for a second and then see what you're working with. It's just very scary. And then the other teams that I could see are more on the West, like the Houston Rockets and the San Antonio Spurs. Like,
I'm hearing a lot of Texas love for Giannis. Yeah.
Imagine pairing Giannis Antetokounmpo next to Victor Wembanyama.
Good luck.
And I think they have a lot of pieces they could trade.
They do. That's the scary part.
I mean, their guard rotation is so deep that they could trade one of those guards. Now, De'Aaron Fox just came back and he's been balling.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew it would be a good fit as soon as they traded for De'Aaron Fox. Now, granted, that was before Dylan Harper was in the mix. And, Steph Castle, he was just a rookie at the time. But you could trade one of those players. Now, it probably might have to be De'Aaron Fox just because of the contract.
Yeah, you're going to have to make it match up.
But I think the Spurs can live with that. I mean, again, Giannis, Wembanyama, maybe you have to attach another piece or two. Castle, Harper.
Vessel, yeah, yep.
Yeah, I think Devin Vassell will still be there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you trade players like Keldon Johnson and De'Aaron Fox, like I think the money
Sochan or something, just throw a bunch of guys in there, yeah.
I mean, oh my goodness. Like they're title contenders.
Immediately.
And same thing when you talk about the Rockets. Now, who exactly would they trade? Like, obviously, I don't think they're trading Durant. They're not trading Şengün. You can't touch that. You can't trade Amen Thompson.
Yeah, so they kind of have the firepower to make a deal, but
I mean, they could trade Thompson, but I wouldn't touch him because I believe he's a future superstar. I've said that on multiple occasions.
Guys. Yep.
It's interesting because I think Şengün and KD are like tied for the best player. Like you look on NBA 2K, the ratings are not even close. I just think stuff like that is bizarre. They're both on par for the best player. Maybe you have to attach a player like Fred VanVleet, who's on a lot of money, or whatever the case might be. I forget the amount of money like Jabari Smith Jr. is on. It's like something of that sort.
Yeah, you have to add it up so that way it equals at least Giannis's contract value.
But the question would be, are the Rockets willing to trade like half of their roster for Giannis when they already traded a lot to get Kevin Durant? Like the Spurs have not made that move yet, right? You look at the Knicks, they have made that move. They made two big moves in the span of one offseason, trading for Bridges, getting 5 first-round picks, getting Karl-Anthony Towns. And you had to trade Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle for that.
Yeah.
Again, Randle's been playing pretty well for Minnesota, and they've had to trade a lot for those players as is. The Spurs have not made that move yet because all the players they've drafted, except for De'Aaron Fox, who I said they would probably have to trade. But I'm trading De'Aaron Fox any day for Giannis.
It's not even close.
I'm a big De'Aaron Fox guy. So it's going to be very interesting to see where Giannis ends up. Will it be done by the trade deadline? That's going to be the one question. I highly doubt it.
Yeah, me too. That's tough to get it done between now and February.
It's tough, but also it's always this cat and mouse game with Giannis. Now, this is not the first time where we've heard he's had talks or he's made threats to the Bucks, that aren't as obvious as it seems. He's had quotes where he said like all I want to do is win, even if it's not in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah.
And
yep.
Literally immediately they traded for Dame right after that quote came out.
They're like, oh crap.
So it's going to be very interesting. The deadline, it's just so tough to trade a player that makes as much money as he does at the trade deadline. Teams just don't have the cap space. Now in the offseason, there are tons of teams that have many open roster spots, have the cap space to make it happen. Because for a trade like Giannis, I think you have to get like a third, maybe even a fourth team involved.
Just to facilitate the numbers. Absolutely.
And that's just the case with any star. I mean, when Jimmy Butler got traded, what was it, like a six team?
Yeah. Yep.
And he's not even close to what Giannis is now. You're going to have to include multiple teams in order to make it work. Who are those teams? What's going to be moved? I have no idea. It's going to be very exciting as a basketball fan. Obviously we experienced the Luka trade last season. That was just exciting as a basketball. Obviously it was shocking
for everyone but the Dallas Mavericks fans.
Right. I mean, it was exciting to see because the NBA is just like a soap opera, right? Whether you're talking about the Sixers, whether you're talking about Chris Paul, whether you're talking about Giannis, whether you're talking about like Zion and the Pelicans, like all this stuff is just so crazy to listen to and watch. But we're definitely going to cover all of it.
Oh, that's why we're here.
Don't you worry about it. Before we go, I do want to quickly touch on the Zion thing because Zion once again is out with injury for the next several weeks, and they're another team, and maybe they get in the mix with a Giannis trade or something, like whether it's a 6 team and he gets moved somewhere else. Do you think at this rate the Pelicans should just consider like waiving and stretching him or buying him out just to get away from the contract?
Would I do it personally? You're asking me? I would definitely. It's just too much of a headache. He has the payoff has not been worth the headache of having him and having him in and out of the lineup, having him be out of shape, not be ready for seasons to start, not be ready to progress through the season. And for a team like New Orleans, you have to get whatever you can for those assets that you end up drafting. Like they got that first overall pick with Zion. Great. Now it hasn't worked out. Try to cash him in and get something out of it before he walks for nothing.
Right. And they just have not figured out this roster. I mean, last season to open it up, you had 4 like max level players, right? You have Zion, you have Brandon Ingram, you have CJ McCollum, you have DeJounte Murray, right? I mean, you let the Hawks con you it twice at this point. Obviously, one is because they took on DeJounte Murray. The Hawks wanted to get rid of him. They took on that contract.
Them. Yep.
Number two was obviously, and we've talked about this, was trading that pick, their number one pick.
The Queen deal we talked about,
yeah,
right?
The Queen deal. Yeah. They traded the first overall, not first overall. They traded the first round pick in the offseason. That was dumb. And then they had a nice tradable contract in CJ McCollum, and you get Jordan Poole.
Yeah, how's that make sense?
Which Poole's a fine player, but I would have traded him for expiring contracts.
Yes, assets. Yes, draft picks and expiring deals, not another player who's not going to help you win right now.
But for some reason, they thought that was going to help them get closer to the play-in?
Yeah, maybe, especially in the West.
I mean, they're one. I think they're the worst team in the Western Conference right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're like 3-20 or something crazy.
So I would find a way to get rid of Zion. I mean, maybe there will be desperate teams that would. Honestly, I feel like Sacramento would be the team to grab onto Zion, because
just to sell some jerseys. I could see that. Yeah,
he will sell jerseys, but they're always desperate enough to make the most bizarre moves. So I could totally see it. And again, you're like, well, why would New Orleans want Levine or DeRozan but again, I feel like it might be something where it's a multi-team deal, or maybe they buy out one of those players.
Mm-hmm. Just for the financial flexibility. Absolutely.
Right.
So you're not tied to Zion and building your team around Zion, because I don't think it's going to work.
But they won't give this up. And we just talked about Giannis and how he's done so much for the Milwaukee Bucks. What has Zion done for the Pelicans?
I think he represented him at one of the lottery shows or something like that, but that was about it.
I mean, congratulations. I mean, the Pelicans made the playoffs without him. I mean, they went to the playoffs and he didn't play a single game. Even there was a time where in the play-in where they needed him and he didn't play. And his excuse was, I didn't feel like Zion.
It was his choice. I remember that exactly. Yep.
And that shows you he has no commitment to your franchise. He has no commitment to your fan base. I just don't know, other than the idea of the talent he was when he played for Duke,
where he was just bigger than everybody else.
Right.
But it's not like that in the NBA.
And that's why I've kind of come to the conclusion at this point that Zion is just not built for the NBA.
Mm-mm.
And that's fine. We've seen players like that go number one overall. I mean, the Sixers had that in Markelle Fultz, clearly. And a lot of that, just like Zion, had to do with injury.
Mm-hmm.
Markelle Fultz, it just was not built for the NBA. Right. I mean, he had multiple chances with the Sixers, with the Magic, even halfway through the year, desperate team in the Sacramento Kings.
Yep. They said, why not?
They tried him out and it didn't work. And he's still a free agent to this day.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things of, and Zion has put in some effort. Like, he did get in shape. I'll give him that credit, but it only means so much.
Yeah. I mean, he's just not a player that I buy in. He's not a player that I believe in. He's not somebody that I think that is part of a winning culture at all.
He's not a player that the fans believe in.
Yeah. What's that tell you?
I mean, New Orleans has been looking for a franchise player. I mean, Anthony Davis asked his way out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And immediately they were able to get that number one pick and it turned into Zion. Right. So New Orleans fans were hyped to, okay, we moved on from Anthony Davis and now we get Zion, who's another dominant, big guy. Mm-hmm. But it didn't work. Mm-hmm. So, and maybe a change of scenery will help. I don't know. I mean, it's the same deal with like a Ja Morant. Like, it depends on the location and is it going to be a distraction? And, like I know we were with the Ja Morant thing, we were talking about Miami, but the South Beach is distraction. Now,
I think it was on ESPN that they're linking Ja to Miami and saying how the Miami infrastructure would be good for somebody like Ja Morant. I just thought, wow, we talked about that like 2 weeks ago.
And the only reason why it might be is just because of the Pat Riley effect, maybe. Mm-hmm. But would a player like Ja or a player like Zion, would they want to listen to Pat Riley?
Would they want the same draft class too? Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that's fun. I mean,
so those young guys, they have all that talent, but it's not translating into winning basketball in the NBA.
Right. And again, maybe they need, a better organization. Like, again, you look at the Miami Heat, world class Heat culture. You got Pat Riley, you got Eric Spoelstra.
It's a night and day difference between places like Memphis and New Orleans.
Right. So maybe that stuff helps. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see Zion, he is a world-class talent when he's healthy, but the problem is he's just never healthy. And you look at Joel Embiid, at least he did something in his career. At least he won an MVP. At least he took his team to the playoffs. At least,
he impact.
He looks like he wants to be out there, even though, as of recently, he just hasn't been playing well and he just looks cooked. Hopefully Joel can figure that out. I hope for the best for Zion. I hope for the best for Ja, because the NBA needs stars.
Absolutely.
Right? LeBron is on his way out. Steph, KD, Harden, Russ, they're following them.
That wave is going, yeah.
Right? We're moving on into that new era. I mean, we got SGA, we got Ant, we got Luka, we got Cade Cunningham. I mean, we got all these stars. Tyrese Maxey.
I was going to say, yep, exactly.
Halliburton. We got all these players that are coming up that is very exciting. Like, it would be awesome to see Zion and Ja be a part of that conversation. Right? Because the NBA is shifting and they can either adapt to the new NBA or they can be left behind like a player like Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons. Oh, dude, you took it right out of my mouth. Yep.
Right. And again, we've seen it time and time again. It's all up to them. And the organizations, they need to step up and make a move or it's just not going to get better. Right. But it's going to be very interesting to see. Again, the NBA is just a constant soap opera. There's constant drama. That it's a lot of fun to watch. That's the great part about the NBA. We can connect.
There's always something
players.
to talk about. Yep.
Always something to talk about. As always, we're going to talk about it on Second Round Syndrome. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. You could find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, iHeart, Amazon, all those great places. Make sure to share it, like it, give us a 5-star review. We would love to hear from you. Comment in our YouTube comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I'm DJ Sports Zone. We got Hob Harris here. We'll see you next time.
10-9-8.